Welcome along to another video on F1 Union, where today we are here for round 4 of Tier 1 Season 14 of EXFL. It is Miami. As for the first time in 2.5 years, we return to this track as we're gearing up for qualifying then, as you can see.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, a 25.5 Venaris has already done, who's taken pole in every race so far, has won every race so far. We only did a 0.7 and a high 0.7 at best in practice, so the fact that his first run is already a couple tenths clear of that, yeah, it's kind of becoming the norm of qualifying this season. So time to send it into turn 1. We've sent it too much, we've gone a bit deep there, but of course it's only the first run. We will improve that later on. So 2 and 3, battery on, battery off, through turn 4, let the battery wind down to nearly 40%, dive it left, dive it right, keeping well within the confines to not invalidate, and around this long annoying left hand corner, one of my least favourite corners probably to do on the whole calendar. But sector 1 split, it's a 29.550 as we're just blasting our battery all the way down as possible through the left and right kinks on the straight. Heavy braking zone coming up, spot the little shadow under the banner, and down to gear 3. I was usually taking that in second, but thought for this opening run may as well try something a little different. But through the Mickey Mouse chicane, then up to 4th, back down to 2nd, flick it left and right over the curbs, and then flick it left again. Not exactly the apex and exit I was looking for, as it's a 1.396, so it hasn't been the greatest lap so far, but obviously, yeah, banker, we will be improving this time hopefully. So blasting as much as we can, DHL board right above us as our marker for braking, down to gear 2, hit the inside apex curb, and get on the power as soon as possible, blast the rest of our battery to the line. It's not going to be anything special. We've crossed the line with a 26.1 and we are 6 tenths off Venaris. So yeah, it wasn't the greatest banker, but we can work on it, as yeah, the gap between me and Venaris in the first 2 races was around about 4 tenths by the end. In Japan in round 3 it was 6 tenths. So we're obviously hoping to close that a little. As we start our second run then, we know we went wide on our first, so this time round let's see if we can get a better turn 1. That's a lot better, and we'll be back in the green now on the power, and yeah, we're about 600ths up as we blast a little bit more battery to get the gap going to nearly a tenth up and over as we flick it left and right once again, heading into this very long and stubborn left-hander, because if you wash out wide a bit too much you're going straight on. You have to make sure to turn in as early as possible, as we've done a high 0.4 in the first sector split, so we're up by a couple hundredths as we're blasting the rest of our battery towards this heavy braking zone, as we're up by a bit more in the braking. But you can see Venaris has done a 0.3 now as we go into gear 2 this time, but yeah, 0.3, we're never doing that at this moment in time, but still we're diving on through the Mickey Mouse chicane. It's a lot tidier, and if we can get a good exit, as you can see, we're 2.5 tenths up. Lost a little bit getting the power down, but there is a car ahead of us trying to get out of the way, but we're going to take a little bit of slipstream and a few thousandths of advantage as we just have one corner left then. DHL out of sight, and now it's time to brake, dive it into gear 2 on the left. It was a bit messy, but on the power we've managed to find a bit more time of what we lost. So across the line there, nearly a 2/10 improvement, and it keeps us in 5th, but it's a 29.5, so we're at least into the 25s. So 1 run to go then, and you can see we've dropped down to 7th now. But yeah, a 9, and Venaris has done a 3, so it's still 6 tenths of a second. But I think Venaris messed up his final run, so a 3. Oh no, he retired. He did a Vettel 2013 Singapore. He just wanted to watch the last run. So on the last run, we've got 6 tenths to close up. So let's see how much we can improve. It was just one of those, let's give it everything. But we were up by a tenth exit turn 1, but then we lost it all up to here. So now we're pretty much level pegging of what we were originally on, back into the green. Qualifying's done then. Time to absolutely send it after sector 1 on the power. Gone a bit wide, which has lost us a little bit of time, but we're still up, and it's a low 0.4 in sector 1, which isn't too bad. I think a high 3 was my best first sector. I think turn 1 could have been slightly better, but we've got to move on towards the end of set 2, then getting right up close to track limits on the right there, sending it into 2, keeping the speed and momentum. We are the second last car who will cross the line in this qualifying session, so we've pretty much got the most track evolution possible as we're sending it through the Mickey Mouse complex, and on the power we are nearly 2/10 up. That bit felt very nice indeed on the final run as we're up into the sub 1 minute point ones in the middle set to split. So one corner left really, so worry about braking as hard as we can, as late as we can, and diving it in. Don't quite hit the apex, so we're going to lose a little bit on the exit, but not too much. So we're just going to blast to the line, see where we end up. We're 7th right now as we cross the line, and it's 5th, but a 25.786. That is pretty much all we can do, considering our best run in practice was a 25.785, so only a thousandth off. As you can see, maybe 3rd was on the cards if we got turn 1 right. But yeah, fair play to Frankie, fair play to James, fair play to Tesos. And obviously, that's 4 out of 4 poles for Venaris. So we will be starting P5. I think our qualifying this season has been 4th, 5th, 6th and 5th. But now it's time to move on to the races. We're parking on our grid slot here, and we do a .2. And we're just waiting for everyone else to get ready.
Oh, 0.2, love to see it.
Yeah, same, I did 0.2.
Right, good luck.
Yeah, here we go.
So, as we're waiting for the lights to come on then to signal the start and return to Miami in EXFL, 5 lights on, 5 lights out, and the Miami Grand Prix is underway. It's a decent start as we're challenging Frankie into turn 1 round the outside, as it looks like Venaris has got a good getaway. James and Cesaro's fighting away. We haven't got Frankie, but Fire bangs tyres with us as we go wide, so now he's got the position ahead of us. He came from absolutely nowhere. I generally didn't see him at the start, whether that was a lack of awareness or he just barged his way through, got his elbows out, which you're going to see in the next few laps him do just that. Well, either way, we've lost a place to him, but at least we're still in the pack with a full undamaged car. But yeah, we lost out to Frankie. Fire got through, and we're down a place in 6th. Dan behind us, our teammate in 8th, as yeah, Venaris has already got the job done. As you can see, James and Tesos fighting away. That only means one thing, and that means Venaris is just going to pull away again, as it's really all aboard the train for P2. But you know, the first 3 races, the 4th no different, starting on mediums. The pace hasn't been as good in the first stint, so if we can just keep with the train, that will at least show an improvement of that. Whether we can make up any ground though and actually gain some places will be a whole nother story. As we're heading on to the end of lap 1 then, Fire putting Frankie under pressure, Frankie putting Tesos under pressure. We nearly run into the back of Fire there, just having to watch our braking there, as obviously these corners, we're taking it for the first time in a race scenario setting with this fuel load, with these tyres in this race. As we start lap 2 then, you can see we underfueled by about a lap or so. Maybe that is a bit of a key clue to why maybe we aren't as quick in the first bit. Others underfuel by maybe 2.5 laps. We simply just can't save that much. I guess it's just down to us not being able to lift as much. But Fire's looking to the inside on Frankie then for P4. And it looks like on the power, on the exit, Frankie's compromised on the curb. So it looks like Fire's going to get ahead. So yeah, we can't simply save enough fuel compared to the rest, and that might be why we're slower in the first half or in general. But we'll have to work on that, as Frankie has yielded and Fire has got the move done. So Frankie loses a place to the Ferrari as we're looking to the end of lap 3. On to lap 4 then. Let's see, Fire's all over the back of Tesos now. He is really trying to make his way up the order, as he's just got the confidence and pace really to do so. As there we go, he's got him.
Alright, it's just making up moves.
So he is now up into 3rd place as Tesos falls behind off the podium. It did look like this race Tesos just was kind of lacking some pace, or was struggling somewhat, as you'll see later on, as now that's put Frankie all over the back of him. We just can't really get close enough for a move. I guess it's the same with Dan, but he was kind of just hanging back because he is the 7th and final car in the train. 8th onwards is a bit further back. We can see 3 wide nearly heading in to the end of the straight, as Frankie fights away with Tesos as they nearly managed to get Fire as well, but Tesos squeezing Frankie out, but Frankie has the inside line now. They're going to go side by side nearly into the Mickey Mouse as Frankie slightly tagged the inside wall there, and Tesos has managed to stay in front. So fun little battle between them, at least to watch. We've got front row tickets to it, but to no avail. The Cadillac has stayed behind for now, so he'll try again, looking to the inside, just letting him know he's there, and then moving back left, just under braking slightly as he goes deep. We try to get the power on the exit, but just can't quite do it. As looking back, yeah, a bit of an overreaction into the braking there. It was pretty much okay. I just didn't want to run into the back of him, really. That was the key thing. But starting lap 5 then, we are all over the back of him. And now moving on to the midway point of lap 6, you can see Frankie going again on the inside of the Haas, and it looks like this time round he's going to get the move done. Goes slightly wide though, but he looks like he's going to cover him off, as you can see James under pressure from Fire, as Frankie now has got the move done. So now it's our turn to see if we can get Tesos, as he's dropped from, well, he started second on the grid, didn't he? So now he's 5th. So yeah, as we're around about the halfway stage in our stint, this is where the hard compound tyres would be better, but I don't think anyone in the top 7 started on them. So it's going to be a one stop then for all of us, medium hard, as we're just looking to the inside of Tesos, letting him know we're coming through as well, or at least trying to. But you see there's a little divide between Frankie and Fire and James. But as we cross the line, start lap 7.
Oh, but now it's doing a 2-stop.
So that has definitely spiced things up, because we know he's going to have to close back up to us and then we'll make our stop. So this could get very interesting, and the norm of the first 3 races has kind of changed now, as we're on to lap 9 now. A couple laps later, nothing really happened. It was just the train staying in formation, but now it's practically a train for P1. And Venaris, you can see in the minimap, that red dot will be closing up to us, as we can see the fighting carrying on. 3 wide nearly, 4 pretty much the net race lead, and James has gone wide, who was leading this race, I think, has now dropped down to P4. I think he went too late on the brakes or something. I don't think he got forced off, but either way, that's led him drop behind Tesos now, as now he becomes the next target for us instead of the Haas, as we just messed up the exit onto the straight there. But moving on to the next lap on lap 10, it looks like James is starting to struggle, so we're just going to put him under a slight bit of pressure. We're never going to really go for a move there. We're just letting him know we are trying to come through on him, as we're trying switchbacks every corner to see if we can have a slight opportunity to the inside. He runs wide, and actually off the track he hits the wall, so this is our chance on the power on the exit to out drag him by the end of the straight, blasting all our battery in a bid to fight the RB. But we're not really getting alongside, so we're back in the slipstream of him. Now looking to the inside on the RB. Now who's going to break latest? It's going to be James, because he nearly runs into the back of the Haas, and he has to move out the way before taking him out, which allows us to get ahead and get the move done. So we're now up into P4, and moving on to the end of lap 11, I thought, yeah, I always like to pit a bit earlier than others, get a bit of an undercut, make the tyres last. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to dive into the pits. We're going to be the first to pit of the top runners, on a one stop, that is. And this time we too get the turn in right. We don't mess up and get a late red turn in. 2.2 second stop, and we're out, because we know the undercut can be quite powerful. So we need to leg it out of the pit lane. I think one car will be ahead of us of Oren, but we did clear him pretty well and easily on our outlap on the straight. I was just exiting the pit lane, no regard for the white line. We just absolutely cross it, gain a little bit of time, and we'll be on our merry way as we cut to the end of the lap. And you can see Frankie and Fire in, and James actually got a puncture, I believe, at the very start of lap 12. So he had to go the whole lap with that, and that'll explain why he is quite a while behind. But you can see Frankie has sped again in the pit lane, and he's come out nearly 3 seconds behind us. So the undercut, very powerful indeed, considering we were a second behind him as well, give or take, when we pitted. So yeah, it's been quite the difference as we cut to the next lap to see the rest pit now of Tesos and Dan going out that one extra lap, and they'll be around about where James is, as we're in the net lead, really. You know, Benares still has to pit. He's 14 and a bit seconds up the road. We are going to gain a little on him, with these fresher tyres. But yeah, it'll be just down to Venaris to catch us back up, which, I mean, let's be honest, he will, the time thinking. But yeah, right now, you can see Frankie is closing the gap to us slightly on that 1 lap fresher tyres, and he did have good pace, and he did have fire breathing down his neck, so he got on with it. We were just trying to maintain the pace. We knew our tyres were going to be the hardest to keep by the end, obviously being 1 lap older. But you can see yellow's coming up. You can see there's a retired car in front of us, and we have to dive out the way because I'm never taking that chance.
Fuck's sake, every time. I don't trust that it's going to ghost.
So I just really didn't want to take the chance of running into it and it be solid, and that's our race completely gone. That happened to us a couple seasons ago in Japan when we were leading, and that allowed the pack to get within a second, and that ultimately cost us. But yeah, Frankie's now on the back of us, and I just thought he has a 10-second. He's quicker at the moment. We're going to let him go, but we're going to try and slot back between him and Fire as we turn our battery back on. We can see our battery is very low, and now we're starting to flash from Fire's POV. We're out of battery. We go defensive to the inside, but Fire's just going to brake later on the outside, and with a bit of slight contact, Fire gets the move done. But it's not all doom and gloom, as
guys,
we
let's
are
get on with it then.
currently on a net podium still, because as soon as Venaris pits, he'll probably catch us, me, Fire and Frankie, but including Frankie's penalty, we are still on for our first podium of the season, because so far it's been 5th and 4th as Frankie moves left to try and break the toe a little. But yeah, you can see Tasaris, Dan and James, they're 6 seconds behind, and with 13 laps to go, it's not a complete given they're going to catch us by the end, as long as we do not battle and lose time throughout all squabbling. But for now, Fire doesn't really want to stay behind Frankie. He's going for it to the inside, is the Ferrari, and Frankie, thinking he can get away more because he has the 10 second, he's not really got as much to fight for. Fire doesn't care. He's going through, so Fire is ahead of the Cadillac, and now it's going to be down to him to see if his pace is good enough to lead us away from the rest behind, as obviously Venaris will be pitting soon, as unfortunately I'm just trying to just keep with them really. I was struggling, and I braked very deep here just to get the blue, as that's where the detection is, and we did get it for just another lap. You can see Venaris is into the pits on lap 18 onto 19, so he is going to be so quick at the end. I mean, he already is, but it depends where he comes out. I was expecting him to fully come out behind the 3 behind us, but no, he's come out ahead of them.
He's on hards. Huh. Oh my god, he's come out ahead of them. No way.
So yeah, he's 4 seconds behind us, and that's going to take him absolutely no time to be right on the back of us as we cut to the end of lap 20.
Really,
and yeah, he's right behind us with the fastest lap of the race. We don't really stand a chance. He will be past us probably on this next straight, and we really don't want to fight it too much because we want to stick with these guys. It did look like Tasaris, like I said earlier, didn't exactly have the pace, and we've actually been lucky in that sense, because if Dan or James was ahead of him the whole time, that 6 second gap may have been a bit lower, but for now it's actually kind of staying where it is, as we're heading onto the straight, and we don't really have any interest in fighting Venaris here. We're not going to be able to do much, as we wanted to let him go on the inside, but he's actually switched to the inside, so it did get a bit messy as the top 2 are outside of a second. But Venaris is ahead, so we're just going to try and keep within a second. But at the time, that even proved difficult, because it's only, what, half a minute, even that, and we've already run wide, and boom, he's already halfway there to being a second clear. So we had to push a little, and unfortunately we just fell behind a little, as Venaris has caught up to Frankie and Fire. My teammate has retired, so he was going to race engineer me for the rest of the race, as yeah, Venaris, Frankie, Fire. Frankie and Fire are obviously going to put up a lot more of a fight than I did, as we're heading into the end of the straight, and it looks like all 3 of them are fighting there for P1, as Fire and Frankie are mainly side by side. It looks like Frankie's trying to get back in front of the Ferrari. You can see the gap behind has gone down by about a second now, down to 5.1 seconds, as Dan has a 3 second time penalty behind. So the more and more, the podium's looking better and better, but we have fallen away from these top guys. But we know if they start to battle, we can start to close back in, as yeah, I mean, Venaris has literally won every race. Fire has finished second, third and second. He will want to take the fight to him, which is exactly what he's doing. As I've said before, the one who could probably stop him right now is him, while the others are starting to close the gap. But we know how stubborn Fire can be, and he is not going to let Venaris go. And for now, he's holding him at bay. He knows this is a win on the cards because Frankie's kind of out of it with the speeding pen. So as we're on lap 23, he's going to be deploying everything possible to try and stop Venaris. And we can maybe pick up the pieces, but at the same time, we don't want them to battle too much and allow the rest to close in, which they are bit by bit as we're crowing to the midway point of 24. And once again, all three of them heading down to the end of the straight are fighting, which is allowing me to close back up to them as Frankie is still ahead of the Ferrari for now, getting his elbows out. Venaris all over the back of Fire, and Fire has to back out on Frankie as there we go, we're right behind them again. But again, we just don't want to lose too much time with their squabbles. As you can see, James now has a 3-second time penalty as well. They've both managed to get ahead of Tasos. So now it's a bit good and bad. It's bad that, you know, the quicker drivers are now ahead of Tasos and they can start closing in. It's good that they have a 3-second time pen each. So even if they got ahead of me, it wouldn't really matter. But yeah, nose to tail the top three. And we start lap 5 to go then. And what I always thought Venaris' strategy would be on the 2-stop, and he would just soar past us all. It's actually not worked out for him. He's still stuck with the Ferrari and the Cadillac, putting up a good defence. But at what point does it start to get a bit ugly? As we're just keeping within the 1-second range of Venaris and Fire here, and sooner or later something is going to happen. You can just feel it coming as Venaris has a run on Fire, and
oh god,
it's happened. They've come together, they've had an incident. Fire and Venaris have had a moment in the wall, and now Fire is gonna lose his head a little as we're gonna see him send it to the inside on the Audi to get his place back, and with a bit of contact hitting him off the track, Fire's head is starting to go here. He's not happy. I don't actually think he got any damage from being hit into the wall slightly, but I don't think he really cares, as he's got that 3-second penalty now over the curb to the inside, and he's forced his way through on Venaris. You can see that wheel banging on the straight once again as Fire sits in behind the Audi now. And this happened to me a season and a bit ago at Texas. It was not a great experience. Now to be the one watching it, it's sort of PTSD, deja vu esque as Fire goes to the inside. That was a decent move though, as we're now alongside Venaris, so we're going to see if we can make the most of these two squabbles. Fire's going to be set on Venaris, meaning we can maybe potentially get the pair of them. We're going to break late, we're going to go round the outside of Fire, we're going to take the net race lead as we get the move done. And on the power, on the battery, we go slightly wide, we lose the car.
No.
Oh, did it hit you or just lose it?
No, I just lost the fucking car.
There's no penalties there.
Fuck!
You're still P3 on penalties.
Yeah, Fire was letting me go though as well. Pretty much.
We have made a huge mistake there, and even looking back now, it still hurts as we nearly get sent into the wall, Venaris Fire style with Tasos there. Yeah, it's just a big mistake on our end. We could have been on for the win there, but now we've dropped down behind Tasos, who's got ahead of us, meaning Venaris is still the net winner, and Tasos is now second, and we're third. But I think Fire's not done with Venaris yet. This is allowing Frankie to get ahead, but he has the most penalties of us all, so he's not really too much of a concern. And this is still on, as you can see, all aboard the Fire train. But yeah, the spin was just the battery too early on, the power too early on, the tyres were letting go, and it wasn't a complete given if we got ahead and stayed ahead that we would have won this race, because Fire still could have fought us back, or Venaris or whatnot, but it would have been a much better scenario than this one, and I'm still beating myself up about that. But we just got to head on for these final 3 laps as the chaos carries on as we head into turn 1. It's nearly 4 wide between James, Dan, Fire and Venaris. James and Dan have gone ahead. Fire and Venaris had another moment as Fire is not letting him through. He's like Gandalf as Fire stays in front of the Audi and Tasos right behind. allows us to be still within a shot of this win. As you can see, the two ahead of us are the two we're fighting. Everyone else ahead has got penalties, as Fire is still trying to fight back with James and trying to hold his nerve against the Audi of Benares. As now the concern is hoping Dan and James don't get 3 seconds ahead, because they have newer tyres and there's still 2 and a bit laps to go. But there's still a big fight going on as Tesaurus looks this way and that. Fire goes defensive on Benares round the outside, nearly forces him off the track, does force him off the track, as James is looking in his mirrors with these two, as Fire stays behind Benares for now. But as we head into the Mickey Mouse chicane, he's been spun. Has Benares the championship leader? So now it is me versus Tesos for the net race lead. But Dan is getting away. Dan, who was 7th, remember, at the end of that first stint train, he was last of the 7 of us, is now in the net race lead nearly, as he's got nearly a 3-second gap, as Tesos, all over the back of Fire now, tries to have a go as we go deep. You can see Benares, even though he's been spun, is not a million miles behind us still, as Tesos, all over the back of Fire now, doesn't need to make the move necessarily, but kind of has to not lose out to the 2 ahead of him. So Tesos will send it to the inside, but he's gone too deep. So now we get the switch. We allow him to just rejoin the track, but we're ahead. And we can see the gap to James is 2.2. The gap between me and Dan is around about 3 seconds. We're still in the net race lead, but with 1.5 laps to go, it's not looking great, because you can see the gaps just going up and up. James and Dan have the fresher tyres, they're quicker, and the chances of winning this race are going down the drain, as we have Tesos right behind us, still putting us under pressure. He could still take this place from us as well, and the more he battles us, the more we lose to James and Dan as well. Frankie, I think, is still going to finish behind all of us at this rate. So the fight is really on with the Red Bull, but we've got Fire right ahead of us, but we've gone deep, and that's going to allow Tesos to get ahead of us, and we're going to squabble, which is losing us even more time. I try to squeeze him out. He has the inside line. He now squeezes me out, and he gets ahead. So that's lost us time and the place, and Benares right behind us is still putting us under pressure. So I think that's it. Dan has gone away, and as long as he can survive any challenge from James, Dan is going to win this race somehow, incredibly somehow. But as we head into the braking zone, trying to see what we can do about Tesos, we see there's an RB going wide. James has gone deep, and now he rejoins just in front of the Haas. Luckily he ghosted, otherwise that would have been a terrible rejoin. But that's put Tesos off slightly. That's put Benares right with us as well to the inside, as we have to go defensive. He backs out. We look to the inside of Tesos. We're on the final lap of the race, and suddenly James has at least made us realise we can at least get ahead of him, because he was also nearly 3 seconds ahead as well. And this chance of the podium is maybe still on. We've lost our chance for the win. It's completely gone now. Dan will win this race. What can we do about this podium? Can we even get P2? Because right now that's going to Tesos, who's all over the back of James, who went straight on. He just completely messed up his braking and was lucky not to end up straight into the wall. So he's going to finish behind Fire, but I have obviously a hint that Fire will get some post-race penalties. Quick check of the tyres to make sure they're still lasting, which they are. And we're running out of corners, really, to try and get Tesos. Benares looks like he's just going to stay behind for now. I'm sure tensions were running high with him. So can we get Tesos as he loses the car and he actually ghosts? Now, usually I wouldn't really take advantage of the ghosting system, but we've lost the chance of the win, so I don't care. We're trying to get Tesos on the exit here, and using the ghosting system to our advantage, we're going to briefly just nudge ahead in straight line speed ahead of the Haas, and we get ahead of Tesos with 1 corner remaining. We decide to flick left to go defensive of any sort of maneuver, but that just allows Tesos to brake late, keep alongside us. We try to leave some space to make sure we don't connect into the wall, but we're bad on traction, and that's going to allow Tesos to get ahead of us on the run to the line. Where are we going to finish?
Arsehole. I bottled the win. I actually bottled the win.
I don't think there was much more you could do there, to be honest. Apart from the...
I could have not spun.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So yeah, that was a very intense, a very crazy Miami Grand Prix. Those last 5 laps were, well, they had pretty much everything. Heartbreak, opportunity, incident, controversy, and, well, chaotic magic, I guess is the way to sum that up. But overall, if we're looking at the positives first, it is still a first podium of the season. Fifth, fourth, third, slightly making some inroads. I think today was a bit more of a lucky race than anything, but still, if we look to the negatives now, that win was definitely on the cards, and the spin was just completely my own error. I'm very thankful that I didn't actually take anyone out when I spun, mainly Fire, who was the closest car to me. I looked back on my theatre and it was quite close, and Venaris right behind. But well done to Dan on the win. I think he was as surprised as anyone really to have won that race. I guess GG to Tasos as well at the end there. Looking back in hindsight, and hindsight is a great thing. I should have just not defended really. I should have been on the inside. I don't think he would have gone for it, and even if he did, the outside was a better line anyway on the drag to the line. So not even a P1, not even a P2, but a P3. It hurts, but still crazy race. And to no surprise, Fire did end up getting some penalties post-race, and Venaris as well. Actually, Venaris got a penalty for the initial causing of the incident, and then everything after Fire was looked into, I guess, because Venaris did send in quite a few clips. So Fire ended up 7th, Venaris ended up 6th. Frankie, even after 13 seconds of on-track penalties, managed to get promoted to 5th. James, even after his excursion, or think different moment, he managed to get 4th, and as you can see here on the theatre, we're getting ahead of Fire. The sky has opened up, and then it's immediately closed because we've lost the car. It's gonna take a while to get over that, but still, we've managed to get P3 and gain on Fire and Venaris mainly in the championship. Tasos is still ahead of us though, and if we had beat him, we would have been level, but because he beat us, he's 6 points ahead of us. So we need to fight back stronger in Bahrain. Bahrain is a track I am looking forward to though. I think we can really make a close there and make some inroads on the pack ahead, because right now we're just still lacking a little bit of pace. But that was Miami. A certainly huge return to the track, and I forgot how chaotic it can be sometimes. But that has been round 4. A lot of ups and downs, and I really didn't think this early, especially after the first 3 races, we'd be even in the fight for a win. But at least now we're getting the podiums, and if we can hold on to that and maybe try and fight our way back to a win soon, that would be great. But for now, we'll see you in Bahrain next week.